At first glance, it looked like an ordinary farm in the English countryside. Fields stretched toward the horizon, birds flew overhead, and life continued as it always had. But beneath the soil lay a secret that had remained hidden for nearly 3,000 years. For centuries, nobody suspected what was buried below. There were no visible ruins, no ancient walls, no signs of a lost settlement, only farmland, and a mystery waiting to be discovered. Everything changed when archaeologists began investigating the site near Must Farm in Cambridgeshire. What they expected to find was routine evidence of ancient activity. What they actually found would shock the archaeological world. As excavation began, unusual wooden structures started appearing beneath the soil. At first, researchers struggled to understand what they were seeing. The deeper they dug, the more extraordinary the discovery became. Soon, archaeologists realized they had uncovered the remains of an entire Bronze Age settlement, a village hidden beneath the earth, preserved for thousands of years, almost frozen in time. The discovery was unlike anything researchers had expected. Entire houses stood on wooden platforms above an ancient river. For nearly 3 millennia, the remains had survived beneath layers of mud and water. Then came the discoveries that left archaeologists speechless. Inside the settlement were everyday objects, tools, pottery, jewelry, and possessions that looked as if they had been abandoned only yesterday. Normally, ancient settlements decay over time. Wood rots, objects disappear, evidence vanishes. But Must Farm was different. The site had been preserved in remarkable condition. Researchers quickly realized they were looking at one of the best preserved Bronze Age sites ever discovered in Britain. A rare snapshot of everyday life from thousands of years ago. But the biggest mystery remained unanswered. How had an entire village become buried beneath a farm? And what disaster had struck the people who once lived there? The answers were still hidden beneath the ground. As archaeologists expanded the excavation, they noticed something unusual. Many of the wooden structures showed signs of intense burning. The evidence pointed to a devastating fire, a disaster that had unfolded nearly 3,000 years ago. Researchers believe the settlement was destroyed suddenly. A powerful fire swept through the village. The wooden houses collapsed into the river below, and within moments, an entire community disappeared. Ironically, the disaster may be the reason the site survived. When the burning houses collapsed, they fell into water and mud. These conditions helped preserve the remains for thousands of years. The preservation was extraordinary. Wooden bowls, cooking pots, tools, even food remains. Objects rarely survive this long, yet here they were, waiting beneath the farm. One discovery fascinated archaeologists more than almost anything else. Inside the houses were possessions left exactly where their owners had used them. It looked as if people had suddenly abandoned everything. This raised an important question. Did the villagers have time to escape, or were they caught completely by surprise? Thousands of years later, the evidence still cannot provide a definitive answer. As excavation continued, more treasures emerged. Beautiful pottery, bronze tools, jewelry, evidence of a thriving community that once lived beside the river. Researchers were astonished by the level of detail preserved at the site. It offered a rare glimpse into everyday life. Not kings, not warriors, but ordinary people. People whose stories are usually lost to history. The more archaeologists studied Must Farm, the more they realized its importance. This was not simply another excavation. It was one of the most remarkable prehistoric discoveries ever made in
What began as a routine investigation beneath a farm had uncovered an entire lost world, a world preserved by disaster, a world hidden for nearly 3,000 years, and the biggest mysteries were still waiting to be uncovered. As researchers continued examining the site, comparisons to another famous disaster began to emerge. Many archaeologists started calling Must Farm Britain's Pompeii, not because of volcanoes, but because both sites preserved a moment in time with extraordinary detail. Like Pompeii, Must Farm captured everyday life frozen at a specific moment. The villagers never intended to leave their possessions behind, yet thousands of years later, those objects remained exactly where they were last used. Inside the houses, archaeologists discovered bowls still containing traces of food. Cooking equipment remained in place. Personal belongings were scattered across living spaces. It felt less like an excavation and more like stepping into the past. One of the most remarkable discoveries was the preservation of wood. Normally, wooden structures decay completely over time, yet at Must Farm, entire sections survived, offering a rare glimpse into Bronze Age architecture. Researchers could even study how the houses had been built, the materials used, the layout of rooms, and the engineering skills of people who lived nearly 3,000 years ago. The discoveries challenged old assumptions. Far from being primitive, these communities were highly skilled. They crafted tools, built durable homes, and maintained complex settlements beside waterways. Archaeologists also found evidence of trade. Some objects appeared to come from distant regions, suggesting that these communities were connected to wider networks across prehistoric Britain and beyond. But one mystery remained. What caused the fire? Was it an accident, a cooking disaster, or something more deliberate? Despite years of research, no one knows for certain. The evidence tells us how the village ended, but not why, and that uncertainty continues to fascinate historians today. Sometimes the most important discoveries are the ones that leave questions unanswered. By now, one thing was clear. What had been hidden beneath an ordinary farm was far more than a collection of artifacts. It was a lost community, a forgotten chapter of British history, and its story was only beginning to be understood. As archaeologists carefully examined the site, they realized that Must Farm was giving them something extremely rare. Not just artifacts, not just ruins, but an almost complete snapshot of daily life from nearly 3,000 years ago. The houses contained dozens of everyday objects: cooking pots, wooden tools, textiles, jewelry, items that would normally disappear forever with the passage of time. One discovery surprised researchers more than almost anything else. Pieces of woven fabric had survived, thousands of years old, yet still recognizable, offering a rare glimpse into the clothing and craftsmanship of Bronze Age Britain. The site also revealed evidence of advanced woodworking skills. The villagers were not simply surviving, they were building sophisticated homes using carefully selected materials and impressive engineering techniques. Researchers found that many of the houses were built above water on wooden platforms. This design may have offered protection, access to transportation, or advantages that remain poorly understood even today. The discoveries painted a picture of a thriving community. Families lived here, worked here, raised children here, and built lives beside the river long before written history existed.
Yet despite all the evidence, many mysteries remain unsolved. Why was the village built in this exact location? Why did disaster strike so suddenly? And why has no similar site been found in such remarkable condition? Some experts believe the fire spread with incredible speed. The houses may have collapsed within minutes, leaving residents little time to save their possessions. If true, it would explain why so many belongings were left behind. The more archaeologists studied the site, the more they appreciated its importance. Must Farm was not simply a discovery, it was a time capsule, a rare opportunity to witness life exactly as it existed thousands of years ago. What was buried beneath this farm had survived against all odds. Time should have erased it, yet somehow the village endured, waiting nearly 3,000 years to tell its story. Years after the discovery, archaeologists are still studying the evidence recovered from Must Farm. Every artifact, every fragment, every preserved object continues to reveal new details about a world that disappeared nearly 3,000 years ago. Few archaeological sites offer such a detailed picture of everyday life. Most ancient settlements survive only as scattered ruins. But Must Farm preserved an entire moment in history, a moment frozen in time. Researchers believe the people who lived here were highly skilled. They built complex homes, crafted beautiful objects, managed resources carefully, and adapted to life beside the water. The discovery also changed how historians view Bronze Age Britain. For many years, this period was difficult to understand. But Must Farm provided evidence that these communities were far more advanced than previously believed. Yet the greatest mystery remains unsolved. What exactly caused the disaster? Was it an accident, a cooking fire, a deliberate attack, or something else entirely? No one knows for certain. Perhaps the answer disappeared with the people themselves. The villagers left behind tools, food, jewelry, and possessions, but they left no written explanation, only silence. That silence is what makes Must Farm so fascinating. The site tells us how people lived, what they owned. But some of the most important questions remain unanswered. Today, Must Farm is often called Britain's Pompeii, not because of a volcano, but because it preserved an ordinary community at an extraordinary moment in history, a moment that would otherwise have been lost forever. What was buried beneath this farm was not treasure, not gold, not a royal tomb. It was something even more valuable, a forgotten human story. For nearly 3,000 years, this lost village remained hidden beneath the soil. Then archaeologists uncovered it, house by house, artifact by artifact, story by story. And what they found beneath this farm left archaeologists speechless. Because sometimes the greatest discoveries are not buried in famous places. Sometimes they are hidden beneath an ordinary field, waiting to be found. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more British mysteries, hidden discoveries, forgotten places, and true stories from across the United Kingdom. Because history still has many secrets waiting beneath the ground.